Hello and welcome everyone to the May 2024 Evergreen Cataloging Interest Group. I was saying I apologize for not getting out reminders early. This really snuck up on me. I feel like the conference just ended and now it's somehow the second Tuesday in May. So thank you all for being here despite last minute notifications and reminders. Did send the agenda out. Presumably you found that. If you're here today, you found the link to the meeting. Trying to see if there are any new names on here. If they are, I just wanted to very quickly say on behalf of the organizing committee, whose names are listed at the top of the agenda as always, we welcome you. And also, this agenda will turn into our notes. Everyone currently has access to make edits as we go along. I do my best to take notes, but I rely on those of you that are here today to also add notes as we go along. And thank you to the organizing committee because you always do that. And to those of you, I am very bad to just use people's first names, but if you do not know Janet Schrader, who's joining us, Janet has retired from an official capacity in Evergreen, and we are always thrilled when she joins us as a continuing member of the organizing committee. So we're glad to have Janet here today, and I'll try to do a better job of not just calling us out by first names so that I can be a little more inclusive for new folks that are here. So today, our plan is really just to talk a bit about the Evergreen Conference for those of you that were able to attend, both the conference and the Hackfest, kind of get some feedback on how that went, and then where we might want to take conversations as a cataloging group, take these conversations forward. So I've got a long agenda just because there are a lot of standing items on here, and I thought I would run through those pretty quickly. And then if there's anything we need to stop discuss, of course, please let me know. You're welcome to turn on your microphones. We are a rather small group today. Even when we're not, you're welcome to turn on your microphones to join the conversation. I'll be watching chat, but if I miss anything in chat, just let me know. So quickly running through the first few things here. The welcome and updates. The wiki I haven't done a lot of work on this year. As always, it's a work in progress. If you're interested, just let me know and I'll get you access to the wiki. That's our official homepage there. Keeping the release notes updated since the last time we met in March, because April was the Hackfest, it was an official meeting. So there have been a couple of releases since then. I have to say, I have not updated the tabular release notes. That is very much a priority for me this month before 313 takes me 2 versions down. So we'll make sure that I'm ready for 313 when it comes out and those tabular release notes are updated. Other than that, all these links are current. Latest releases will always tell you what the most recent releases are. You can find that in other places, but you can also find it on our wiki. Official links to the documentation, the community server is now on version 3.12. So if you find us talking about things that you do not yet have the ability to test, but you want to, and you want to see what it looks like, that's what the community demo server is for. And then the development roadmap, and I see Stephanie's added as a quick note on there. I had a link to 312 to 313, but now there's a 314 roadmap. If you're not familiar with the roadmap, that's where the developers who are working on these releases start putting together what features are going to be included in that particular release. And now that 313 is ever so close, and that fixes are being committed through the end of the week last week and through the weekend, and it looks like that we'll be seeing 313 very, very soon. And I'm going to pause there because there are a couple of things that will change the way we see things in 313, and I've got a note a little further down about 1 or 2 specifics of those. So when 313 comes out, I'd like for us to spend a little time in one of our monthly meetings kind of reviewing those, kind of seeing what the challenges, I didn't mean that. That was what the changes were in 313 for us to get used to. So as soon as that comes out, the very next meeting that we have, we will talk about 313 while it's fresh, recognizing that a lot of people, most libraries will not immediately adopt 313, but it is good to know what changes are going to be out there when we do. Okay. Very, very briefly got through that. Celebrations, Evergreen Conference. I hope you consider it a success if you were able to attend. If you were not, or even if you were and you want to see some of these videos again, Rogan Hamby, one of my colleagues here who leads the outreach committee and really kind of maintains our YouTube channel, has been loading those videos up to YouTube. And slowly we're getting the videos to the links to the videos and to the slides posted to the, I said posted, I should say where, to the conference website. So when that's complete, I imagine the conference committee will send out a message saying that that's complete. But some of them are up there now. If you presented and you have not sent your slides in, you can send them to me and I will post them. And thank you, Carol. Yes, there's a survey out now from the conference committee. So please take that survey and provide your feedback. It is anonymous, so you can just share what you liked, suggestions you have for future conferences. All that's taken very seriously, and especially as the next online conference is being planned. And for those of you that are just joining us, I'm still just working on the introductory pieces, working through the agenda here. I'm excited about the catalogers map. It was something we talked about just kind of as a last minute putting this together before Hackfest, and so I started collecting locations, not your names, but about where we are on the maps. I'm going to click on that so we can share it. Currently, you can see all the list of the names, the places where we are listed over there on the left. You can see that we are all across the country and up into Canada up here. So I would like to make sure that we're all represented. If you want to share, it's completely optional and to some extent anonymous. Maybe we don't really know who lives where. And I talk enough about where I live. But anyway, so there you are. So let's keep adding to that and make sure that we're represented where we are all over the state. And then I will post it up to our wiki. It's not on there yet. I said all over the state, all over at this point, all over this continent. But we do have people on other continents, so I'd like to make sure we're represented on there too. It's kind of nice to see how spread out we are and how we've got some just empty holes in the country. We need to work on that. Some representation. So if you want your location to be added to the map, just drop your name on the list there. It doesn't automatically do it because that list is just a Google Sheet, but I will add you to the map. If you'll add to the bottom, that way reminds me what I've added and what I haven't. You're welcome to do that. Just a fun little thing. I like visual representations, and I appreciate you participating in that. So while I'm saying participation, we've got our note here about our library upgrades, how your libraries are doing. If you've upgraded or planned to upgrade since the last time we were together, I would welcome you to comment now if you want to about how things are going, or you can just make your notes right here on the notes document if you want. I know we had a couple of libraries that were looking to update. I don't know, is Rosie here today? UPEI was looking at making a big upgrade in April or May. Anybody else looking to make an upgrade or has just upgraded?
Noble will be upgrading to 312 in June.
In June, great. Where are you? Why are you not on the list?
I don't know.
Where'd you go? How is that possible? Okay, well, you are now.
Maybe we weren't doing anything last time.
That's totally possible. Upgrading. Can't believe I didn't have you upgrading in June to what version?
312.
Oh, that's exciting for you. Kenton County's documenting what they're doing there. You're now on 311.5. Great. I must say there have been some nice updates in these point releases for 311 and 312. They're worth highlighting. I know it's been a busy couple of months since we were all together, so slightly, especially those of you that are adopting early to see how it's going, let us know. Okay, moving on. Do have the notes here, as always, on all of our fellow interest groups are meeting, and I don't take time to go through all of those other than to say I'm going to jump ahead down to some announcements and some working group updates. The authorities working group did meet. Hoorah! And there's several of the authorities working group here today, and there's now a regular meeting time. It's going to be the second Thursdays at 2 p.m. So that's now officially documented. We'll make sure it's updated everywhere on the Evergreen website and wiki later. But in addition to regular meetings, monthly meetings, we're going to hold interim working meetings where we just get together and work on documentation, testing and documentation. And the next one of those is coming up on May 30th at 2 p.m. We will send out a link to the cataloging listserv to invite everybody to join us. Let me see, Carol, Maggie, who else is here? Jessica. Oh, if you missed Jessica's presentation on authorities, we will make sure that that gets shared out too, because it was a really, really good introduction to authorities that she gave at the Evergreen conference. And it's posted now. Well, if it's not, it will be by the end of the day, posted to the website, the conference website. Okay, so Carol, Maggie, Jessica, anything else you want to say about the authorities working group? Or anybody else I may have missed?
I guess continue sending in your questions if you have any
And
about
why is that
avoidance
important, Carol?
so that we can update our documentation because we're going to have like FAQs and we've got a glossary and all sorts of things that we're working on for documentation.
Absolutely. And we can't do FAQs without Qs.
Indeed.
And again, everybody's welcome to join, even if if you're just curious about authorities or just have even basic questions. If you want to join our meetings, you're welcome to, because that's what actually moves us forward with making sure we're documenting for the users that will be using the documentation. I'm stumbling over words, but you get the idea. Yep. Maggie's added a note to the chat here. We do need questions. No question is too basic. Absolutely. So, like I said, I was just kind of skipping ahead to the announcements under below there. But if there's anybody in any of the interest groups that you want to make an announcement about, now's the time. I will just say the student success met during Hackfest. Did anybody attend that? I didn't. I wasn't able to, and I'm sorry I missed it.
I did.
And I did.
Hmm. So how did that go? Do you have anything to bring back to us?
It went really well. That was a group that had kind of uh, fallen into I'm trying to think of a nice way for like died,
It is
but
stalled. We'll go with stalled.
yeah. Well, it was on hiatus. Oh, how's
Paused.
that? On
Yes, there you
hiatus,
go.
yes.
Good
And
word.
I can talk about it that way because I was the one who was supposed to be running it, and we just really um, sometime around, I don't know, March 2020, the wheels came off the bus and never got restored. Um, yeah, so it was a pretty good meeting. We talked about a little bit about patron loading, about course reserves. Beth, who's on this Zoom, did a kind of a presentation of course reserves and some of the bugs and features of that, and various other things that I can't remember at the moment.
Well, they lured me in for cereals.
Oh, that's right. That's that's right. Yes, thank you. But it was a good start at restoring meetings along those lines.
Is there a sense that they'll be meeting quarterly, or is there a meeting schedule yet?
There isn't a meeting schedule yet, but um, I'm guessing every other month. But I'm hoping you'll be hearing more,
Hmm.
and
Absolutely.
without having to wait a couple of years.
Okay, Carol, when you say they roped you in for cereals, does that mean as a separate cereals group or under the umbrella of student success?
Well, in the description or something, somebody
Okay.
mentioned that, oh, they were going to discuss cereals. And since we haven't really discussed cereals, it's like, oh, well, maybe I'll show up there because, I'm not really involved with
Mhm.
students directly, although we're all part of student success.
We are.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
the name just
Mhm.
means academic and school libraries, and that
Mhm.
student success is that like forward thinking, client focused, name for it.
Yeah,
Um, but certainly cataloging is involved in student success, and
no doubt.
so are other things. So,
Okay, great. Thanks for that update. It's good to give a little more context too about student success. I think even if you're just loading, if you've got a relationship with your local school and you're loading in those student records so that they can use your library,
yeah,
that's student success, right?
right.
Okay.
Oh, and end of semester dates came up,
Oh,
uh,
yes.
how people use those. It's, can you tell that the meeting is like all coming back to me?
Okay, great. Well, thanks. If you think of anything else, you can just drop it on the our notes
Okay.
doc. Okay, and I don't know if Elizabeth Davis is here with us today. There's so many. It's on a different tab now. Yay. I don't think so. Elizabeth just sent a follow-up note to the general list, I think. She is put a call out there for an exploratory meeting, really, For ILS admin staff, I think this came out of the system admins interest group meeting during Hackfest, about there are people that serve this role as the ILS admin, but they aren't full system admin people. And so that having an interest group where they share some of their challenges and some of their best practices sounds like a really good, really good idea. They're going to meet on the 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern. And again, I'm pretty sure Elizabeth just sent out an update with all that contact information about joining the meeting. So her contact information is here on this on our notes. So if you have any questions about what that means, or if you can attend but you'd like more information, I would suggest you contact Elizabeth. Okay, I'll just see if there are any other notes about anything I've missed. I don't see anything, so I'm going to keep going. We talked about authorities working group already. BibFrame study group. Galen joined us for the Hackfest portion, well, Hackfest day after the conference, which is where our Hackfest notes came from. And there are more notes on there about this, but relaunch is definitely forthcoming. Galen Charlton, also a colleague of mine here at Equinox, will be leading this. And he'll send notices out to the various listservs when they're ready to get started. We talked about what BibFrame means and kind of the structure of what we're looking at BibFrame and what can we do with MARC data as it is in Evergreen, and then forward looking. So it's really about, this group is going to be a limited time study group. It's not an interest group that'll just meet indefinitely like ours. It's a study group that's going to get together and just, well, study what BibFrame means and what it can and should mean to Evergreen, and kind of help shape the future, really. Not to put it too loftily, not to put it too dreamily, but seriously to talk about just really digging into what it means and what we as a community need to be thinking about to finally come to terms with BibFrame as it is in its current state and what it means to our libraries. So if you're interested, please join the mailing list. But the notices will go out both to the larger mailing list, and then also we'll post them on our wiki as he announces them. Anybody have any questions? I will try to answer questions about what this BibFrame might be. Otherwise, I will just suggest you send us a quick note to me and to Galen, and we'll make sure that we answer that. If you're interested in joining this group, or at least you can join the mailing list. You don't have to show up to the study groups. You can just follow if you want to. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so going on then, anything else about any of the other interest groups? I don't want to shortchange anybody that has something going on and you want to make an announcement. Give you a few minutes to do that, because I know there are quite a few people involved in quite a few different interest groups here today. Okay, we have talked about doing some cross working together collaboration across interest groups. So we will continue to keep that idea in our minds too. So if you come to both this interest group and another interest group and you see some opportunities for us to collaborate, please bring those ideas back to us. Okay, lastly, Launchpad bugs. I have updated the numbers for how many of each of these are out there as of today. So we have some new, and new just means nobody has confirmed it yet. So new could have been out there for months and months and months, but it still has a new new tag on it. So new plus cataloging, we still have a little over 100, as you can see. I'm not going to get too much into Launchpad today, other than to say I would like for us to revisit these staff catalog blockers perhaps next month. These same 9 we've had for a long time, they are being worked on. Some of them are being worked on, and there's some discussion and some testing going on. So it's not that they're just being completely left out in the cold. Staff blocker simply means that these are things that we won't be able to do outside of the traditional catalog using the new Everything's Angular catalog if these particular pieces aren't addressed. So I encourage you to look at those and kind of see what activity is happening there. Sometimes it's just a matter of continuing the conversations about where we need to go with them. I don't want to spend time today, but certainly that's going to be on the agenda for next month for us to see the status of those 9 bugs. And as always, we open the floor up to if you have particular Launchpad bugs you want to talk about. And Carol, do you want to talk about this one that you brought up at Hackfest?
Okay. Well, so in the Angular Mark Batch Import Export, if you click on any of the checkboxes, like you only want the records with matches, or you only want to view the non-imported records. No, in the queue itself.
I don't have a queue.
Okay.
Oh, I do have a queue. Look at that.
Look at
Okay.
that.
I do have a queue. I'm on the community server.
So that's 312?
Yes.
Okay.
Do I have anything in the queue? I do have it. It's complete though.
Well, whatever. That's fine.
Okay.
It doesn't
All right.
matter. Just open it up.
I'm trying. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. There you are.
Okay. So click on, non-imported records or records with matches or one of those checkboxes or multiple checkboxes.
Yep.
Okay. So not non-imported records.
All of these imported. We had no issues. No matches, no issues. This is a really bad queue to
Okay.
use.
This is a
Okay,
bad
you're
queue.
talking about these little
But
boxes
those
at the
three,
top.
yes. So
Yes.
if you click on, say there were 2 matches in the first one, and you click on the zeros because you want to look at what those duplicate matches are, or look at the record that's in the queue.
Sure.
And then you go back, all of those will be unchecked again, even if you had checked those.
See if this one is any better. Nope, still no matches, but okay. But we're still talking about these here. They get deselected when you go back.
Well, it says, hold on, records imported too, so you could probably click the non-imported records.
There we are.
And then if you click on one of your matches, because, I don't know, you want to look at the record that's in the queue.
Boy, that's
whatever. And then you just go back to the return to queue. And they're
no
all
longer
unchecked
selected
again.
Well, that's just a waste of time, isn't it? And having to do it over and over and over again. Yeah. Yep. Return to queue, not selected.
So I guess we could update that to say it's not in 312 working either.
Absolutely. We can do that. We can confirm today that let's just do that while we're all together, shall we? And it does indeed affect me, so let's add heat. Am I logged in? I'm logged in. If you're not familiar with adding heat, here's what I'm doing. I click on it affects me. I added heat. Alrighty, we can say reviewed. Okay, there we are.
Woohoo. Thank you.
And we can confirm it because we just did.
Look at that.
There we are. And a note again, if there are new people here today, confirming needs to be somebody, not you. If you submit the bug, you cannot confirm your own. So it has to be somebody else. It's like seconding in a meeting. With a motion, you make a motion, somebody has to second it. So we just seconded it by confirming. All right, thanks, Carol. I will say, as I was trying to find this, there are quite a few things on this import-export that we could just spend probably an entire meeting talking about the import-export or the import-export process in general. But thanks for that one. So others are encouraged to continue to add heat while we're talking. Fine. I'll get out of there. Any other bugs anybody want to bring to the group today before we start talking about the conference for the last half hour? Keep in mind, you don't have to wait until our meetings. Anytime you have any kind of bugs that you want to say, hey, is this a bug? Or, hey, I've created a bug. Will somebody please add heat? That's what the listserv is for. And you'll find that it gets quite a lot of response when you do that. It is pouring rain here. If I lose internet, I will just count on you to continue on without me because it's getting really stormy here. Okay. Hackfest notes I've got posted in here too. We had an excellent conversation. There are a lot of you that attended Hackfest. I have not been as nice as I thought it was going to be to go back and really clean these notes up, but that's okay. I did bring up the action items and some of the things that we talked about scheduling for future programs. I'm not going to go back through this because we had some really, really nice conversations, pulling out things that we would like to continue to talk about. So I pulled this part out and put it in our agenda for today. As biggest part that I did move out, we talked a bit about MarcEdit, the Terry Reese presentation that he did. Some of the things we wish he had talked about, some of the things we'd like to continue to talk about going forward. In addition to, he was talking about some new things that were going on in MarcEdit, perhaps not things that we use all the time. So several of us have talked about what this might be if we were to bring him back, because once we've had one conversation with him, we want to have more. But again, I do think his video is up now, and he sent me his slides this morning that we can share. So again, without going through all of this, because it really was about an hour and a half, really, really great conversation, I encourage you to go back through there, and if anything sparks any ideas that you want to bring back to the group, you continue to do that now or just to the listserv. So I'm going to stop scrolling because that's just a bad habit I have. Again, I did bring out some of these suggestions we're going to talk about. One of the things that I did want to let you know is if you were at Hackfest, or I guess even if you weren't, Stephanie Leary joined us, and she's not here today. She's away at a different conference this afternoon, but she provided a demo of the enhanced Mark editor redesign. It has been committed to 3.13. So when 3.13, this is one of those things I said when 3.13 is released, I want us to come back and look at together. I can't demo it to you today because it's in that limbo stages of it was just committed, so it's no longer on a test server because Festivus was our test server we were using, and it's no longer available for this while they're preparing it for other things. This Mark Editor redesign makes it easier to use that enhanced Mark Editor. For those of us that don't use it all that often, and I'm one of those, it now makes it more keyboard friendly so that you can tab through that enhanced Mark Editor when you're editing that single record is what we're talking about, editing just a single bib. It also provides a lot of embedded help messages and wizards in there now. So for people that are new to cataloging or just wondering what indicator to use or what a subfield means, there are many more help wizards that will be provided. So I think this is going to be really great for the community. And one of I'm interested to anybody else who's at Hackfest, but one of my takeaways is it's going to be different enough that it's going to not be natural at first. It'll take a little getting used to. But we do think that it's going to certainly certainly enhance the cataloging experience. So I can't wait to show it to you next month. Or if the community server gets updated to 3.13 before next month, we'll test it out on there. There's a terminology, and it's kind of sort of in the weeds. So when it comes out, I have a question for you all, but I took it off the agenda because we have other things to talk about. So as all new features or new redesigns like this, we're going to have opinions. And they're going to be things like, whoa, would it be nice if it did this thing and this thing and this thing too? So we're just going to keep adding bugs afterwards. But I really am impressed with the work that she's done so far. And then we'll just continue to make it better with all of our opinions afterwards. Yeah, I agree, Tricia. Enhanced and cataloging are two words I like to put together too. And in this case, it doesn't make me go, no, I just want to go back to the old days of flat text, because this actually makes a difference. Okay, so the notes that I pulled out of our Hackfest conversation, these are the things that we are looking at, potentially scheduling. When I say Cat IG meetings, it's these monthly meetings. Jessica, I think I'm looking at Jessica Efron here. I think this might have been initially your question, which then turned into a lot of conversation about the need for a conversation surrounding e-resources and how they're managed in the catalog and the things that people are currently doing to manage their e-resources and some of the pains and some of the celebrations that go along with that. So we talked about maybe doing a conference-like session on that, an extended one, and not perhaps waiting till the next conference. So if we go to Hackfest, you can see all of our notes that are there. I'm going to just leave that in this next conference thing kind of lingering in the air because it's foreshadowing where I'm going next. Some of the other things that came out of that are looking at the other ways we edit things in Mark, and that's kind of the conversation if we have time now and when I stop talking about how we are currently editing Mark records in batch or singularly, what we're doing now, where the challenges are how many of us are really using Mark Edit, that kind of thing. And I want to open that up for general discussion. At this point, just want to reiterate that part of what the Hackfest conversation was about is we need more conversations about, let's talk about beginning Mark Edit. So if you're using the tool Mark Edit that Terry Reese created and maintains, we really need more of an introduction to that to anybody that's not using it yet, or even kind of an intermediate presentation on MarcEdit about, okay, you're using MarcEdit now. What else can you do with it? Which wasn't what we got from his presentation. His was really more about where he's going in the future, which is very interesting. But we feel like we could supplement that. We also talked about bringing Terry Reese back just to our group. We talked about regular expressions because regular expressions can be used quite a bit in MarcEdit and also quite a bit in Evergreen itself in the native MarcEdit tool that's there. So which leads me to the native Evergreen Mark Batch Editor. And then we also talked about doing Launchpad for catalogers. While there are videos from previous years, it's always kind of nice to do this again live so that people can ask questions. And then setting up holding import profiles. So we've got a really great list here to work from. So you can see that we're going to be talking a lot in the next 6 months of the year. I say 6 because we generally don't meet in December, but we've got lots of great ideas for presentations. Okay, so I want to ask 2 questions for discussion for the rest of our time here. One, would there be enough interest to put together our own online Hackfest? So it would be this, just extended for perhaps half a day to talk about some of the things that came up in Hackfest that we just feel like we needed a little more time to talk about. And if so, what month would be a good time to look at?
I'm just going to jump in and say I love the idea of this. I think we can always find things to talk about. As far as what time of year, I'm good with the will of the whole.
Nice. Thanks, Kate. Tricia, fall tends to be a busy time, but if we know the date far enough ahead, we can plan for it. Okay. Jessica's in the cubicles today. We know they don't let you have a microphone. And I'm looking at fall because I thought spring, and I know it's a cataloging community, and I know summer reading happens in public libraries, and that's a busy time for June and July. So we could look at late August instead of fall. Definitely fall. Okay, definitely fall. So fall is my favorite time of year, but that has absolutely no bearing on when we plan this. I feel like we want to be able to plan it, have enough sufficient time to plan it. So it's just not all of us getting together and talking, which, actually can be quite beneficial, but we can actually put together some presentations. Okay. So yes in the fall. Next question. Anybody interested in help putting together an agenda for such a thing? You don't have to volunteer now. I promise not to volunteer any of you directly. I know I have done that from time to time, but I won't do that here. So if you want to think about it, we'll get back together. The organizing committee will certainly put this on our list of things to talk about. But if it's something you just feel like, gosh, yes, I really want to be involved in this, or you really just have ideas about things you want us to do, whether you have time to help or not, send a note to the listserv, send a note to any of us on the organizing. Yes, I'm just going to say volunteers will be needed to make this happen. Smiley face. Yep. So just continue to slightly happy. Okay, I'll be slightly happy. I don't know, slightly. So thank you to those of you that are considering doing this already. And we do have some great topics already. And e-resources is the thing that I think originally sparked this idea with me, because we did talk about doing kind of an extended conference like thing. And I'm thinking if we wait until next March or April, and it might be in person, it's harder to get as many people together. So I feel like we can kind of do this, and we can make this we'll see how this one goes before I get ahead of myself, but we can make this an annual thing. Well, I'm excited about the idea, so thank you for entertaining that today.
Jennifer, I'll volunteer. I'd like to help
Elizabeth.
with this.
I'm jotting down notes. I won't put your name on the notes, but I have my own notes going here on the side for anybody that wants to, ping me directly. Thank you for those.
Should we call it Hackfest or?
No, we shouldn't. That's a terrible name.
Markfest or Catfest? If we call it Catfest, we'll get the entire community.
That's right.
With the
and then
wrong
they have
idea.
to talk about cataloging things if they do. So we can, yes.
Okay.
And we need swag in advance so we can all show up wearing the same cat t-shirt online. Okay. Yes, we definitely should not call it Hackfest because but yeah, Mark Fast. I love all the names. All right. Dropping your names down. Okay. And you can't do more than one thing at a time, but moment that's challenging. Okay, here we are. So now I'm back to wanting to talk about mark editing. Let me not do this. Is there anything else that came out of the conference that that anybody here wants to highlight? You want to say you really enjoyed? Any questions that came out of the conference that did not make our list of things that we might want to do a little more programming on? There are quite a few of you here, and I know that some of us just talk more than others. So let me give you time to drop a note in chat. I want to say thank you to everybody that presented. Tricia says she really, really liked the authorities presentation. Oh, it was indeed great. And thank you to everybody that attended. I thought you would just be talking to one another, the presenters. I will say that in the debrief with the conference planning committee, repeatedly we heard that catalogers really showed up this year. Not only showing up to give presentations because there was not, if you noticed, there wasn't a second call that had to go out this year saying we don't have enough presentations with more people. Please, please, please volunteer send presentations. That didn't have to happen because the cataloging community stepped up and made sure that we got all of our proposals in early, and we stepped up to participate and attend. So I thank you all for being the model interest group. I will just say that in this community for showing up continuously and making this happen. Tricia, was it NC Cardinal presentation on revamping their holds distribution system? Yes, system. That was really great. Their geolocation. Yep. So we'll make sure that that one's put. Make sure that well, they'll all be put up on the website. But yes, Llewellyn did a great job, and he's been working on that a couple of years now. So it was fascinating. Yeah, it really was really great. Anything else we want to shout out? I'll get these in our notes so that we can. I'll just call that highlights. Let me spell Llewellyn's name correctly. Okay, got it. So if anybody wants to add anything else to the notes, please do. So now we'll start talking about mark editing. This is really to fuel future conversations. I can't imagine right now we're going to solve anything, but I'm curious to the extent that people are using mark edit. And the way I guess I should go with that, is there anybody here that is not familiar with mark edit and would be interested in learning more? Because we do recognize that the presentation Terry Reese gave really sort of assumed that we already knew what it was and how to use it. Okay, so I'm seeing a few yeses here. Some limited knowledge. We'd like to look. Okay, great.
I use it daily, but still want to learn more.
Yes, I agree. Definitely. So we get, all right. I'm seeing enough interest to just have a monthly meeting where we just talk about mark edit. Okay. Yeah. Trisha, 2% of its potential. I always kind of felt that way when I was learning Microsoft Excel back in the day. You know, do more than make a list. But mark edit's very much I feel that way too, especially the more and more it gets added.
And there was a presentation done a couple of years ago during a cataloging interest group meeting, so there should be presumably a recording somewhere online that we could probably point out to people.
Yep,
because I learned some things during that.
Yep, so let me just make them in here. Add link to previous. And we talked about that during Hackfest, and I still don't have the link, so I will pull that from Actually, you know what? Should be pretty easy to do because our wiki has Mark Edit Overview, and there we are. It's from January 17th. Here are the slides. Thank you to Mary Llewellyn and to Kate Coleman, who did this presentation in January, a little over a year ago. So I'm going to just throw the slides in there. And say that it was, did I say it was January? My memory. January 17th. Thanks. So we can go back and watch that recording on the wiki. If you are very new to MarcEdit and you want to get an introduction, that's great. And I really like this presentation because they gave you very clear examples about how they were both using it in their libraries. Not just theoretical, here's how you could, here's how they are. Okay, this sounds great. So what other ways outside of MarcEdit are we editing records now? Just one-on-one? I mean, one by one? Are we using the native MarcEdit tool? This is where it gets confusing. There is a batch MarcEdit tool that is native to Evergreen, which is not MarcEdit. And we did a presentation on that too.
So having done both, I've used the native batch edit, and then using Market. Now that I know MarcEdit a little better, I'm not gonna lie, exporting those things and moving them to MarcEdit, and editing them in MarcEdit, and then batch loading them back in is easier. But if you're willing to learn how to use the batch editor in Evergreen, it works.
Mm-hmm. For the things that can change, right? I mean,
Yes.
that's heavily. It can't. I mean, I guess we could revisit this too. It can't do things like update your fixed fields. It can update your indicators. So maybe a little comparison of the two. Okay. I did hear the batch editor is scarier. Absolutely scary. It is scarier. Part of it to me, and I hadn't realized this until you just said that, part to me is you are literally changing the records in the database. This is perhaps the only place you can do batch edit. Well, it is literally the only place you can do batch edits to existing records outside of the import export tool. But yeah, so there isn't an, yeah, you have to be careful. Chrissy, personally, you're usually doing these one by one, but MarcEdit once in a while. Yeah, a few times you tried to use the Evergreen editor, you had to undo it. Well, we messed up. Yeah, and that's the scary part, using that embedded editor. Of course, one of the other things as I was talking through that is we have the ability to edit records as they are coming into the database if you're doing batch loading. You can decide what's going to be overlaid or not, and what fields get updated or not with the records as they're coming in, which is, in a sense, editing if you're overlaying records. And you can add to them. I mean, that's a nice thing too. But okay. I feel like we have a lot of workarounds that are working. That's the reason we use workarounds for editing these things. I know that we can query in buckets, in record buckets, to find things to then export them. I mean, that's almost part of the step, is how do you find the records that need to be edited? I'm just going to try. Of course, they're authorities, but that's a different story entirely. How we update authorities. I didn't say that. We'll take that out of the discussion. All right. Anything else about editing? But if we were going to perhaps put this as a topic at a future monthly meeting or in the Hackfest, we can look at Mark Edit again. We could do basic and then intermediate Mark Edit, and we could just make this a series of conversations. I guess the organizing committee will come back together and see how we want to frame this. So we're very interested in everyone's opinion here. Jessica, Mark Edit for anything more than approximately 30 records. Yep, anything conditional or complex for big projects. Yep. And it's got all those embedded RDA things in there too that I really haven't used all that much, but Sherry Reese has taught Mark Edit RDA, at least the basics of RDA, so that we can update our records. Could save a lot of frustration. All right, so we can investigate. So let's we'll put that on there. So a suggestion for beginning and intermediate sessions. Okay, we can make that happen. And if next month we're going to be looking at the enhanced Mark editor, it could just be a theme. Maggie says she'd love examples of how catalogers are already using it. Yes. So that said, thank you, Maggie. This is now an official call for tell us how you are already using Mark Edit. So we'll put this call out. Call for examples. Open call for examples. The next time, if you are a Mark Edit user, you find yourself using it, you should say, hey, I'm going to take a couple of notes about what I'm doing, send them to the cataloging listserv, and we will put them all together. We'll combine them so that we can put together these examples that we can then share. Sharing. We can even make a little FAQ because that's also the theme of the year, FAQs for our wiki for Mark Edit FAQs, how you're using it with examples. We already heard people that are saying they use it a little bit. That means you too, if you're using it just a little bit the next time you're in there. No example is too small or too simple. And I didn't think we would get through all of that, but we did. What else do you want to talk about? We have 10 minutes. Anything else you want to talk about while we're here? Or we can just call it early. Our next meeting is in June. I'd put this topic, maybe user preferences as admin menus, but perhaps not. Let's make Mark Edit instead. And the rain's even harder now. My weather update. Getting darker and darker. Well, look at beginning. In the beginning. No. All right, Janet, you used Mark Edit to create dummy barcodes to load online Gov docs for records that were deleted because no holdings in the library didn't want to buy hundreds of barcodes. That's fascinating. I hadn't heard it used that way before. Let's capture that.
I also used it to create dummy barcodes for Pittsfield when they got a lot of microfiche records from the National Archives or National Geological Society. And they obviously didn't want to buy barcodes to, pay for barcodes for those items.
Yeah, that's a fascinating idea.
One other thing I loved doing was mapping an incoming library's holdings to holdings in Evergreen.
That
Some
was no
libraries
small project, was it?
What?
That was no small project, was it?
No. And just before I left, 3 libraries joined.
Mhm.
Some libraries had, they didn't have any actual computerized system, but they had things on Excel sheets, and you had to map
Oh, yeah.
call numbers from one column and titles from another. But that wasn't actually Mark Edit. That was
That was just
that was importing holding.
yeah. Well, it's one of the other things we talked about doing is doing import additional training or discussions about import holdings and how you can, like you said, there you can do all kinds of extravagant things when importing holdings. But
Yeah.
most people just use the vendor records provided. All righty, Kate. Take care. We're done. Good to see you. All right. Well, I guess at this point we've got enough material here to get us to planning for June and then to be thinking about a fall cat fest. That's going to stick. So I can send out some messages to the larger group to continue these conversations. Don't forget to add your location to the map. Don't forget to take the survey. I need to put that in the notes. Let me scroll back up here, Carol, to take the Evergreen survey. Evergreen. I'll just put that right here. Take the conference survey. Okay, good enough. Every time I move something, okay, it's fine. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And I'll leave the notes editable for, well, I often don't undo that. So if you want to add notes at all to here, if you want to volunteer for thinking about the Hack Fest, which is now called Cat Fest, please let me know. Because it'll take a little while to pull that together, but I love the idea. If you want to sit in on authorities, please do. The authorities working group. If you have questions for the authorities working group, send them our way. Okay. I do want to thank everyone for being here today. One of these days, maybe our Hackfest will take a little time and get to know each other a little better about where you're from. And I see your names, but it'd be nice just to get a sense of who's out there behind your name sometime. So maybe we'll do that. We'll make time for that in the Hackfest or Catfest, if not before.
Jennifer, the Worcester Public Library dismissed all fines and bills for patrons that submitted a picture of their cat.
I saw that. That was the most wonderful thing.
It didn't have to be your cat. It could be
No,
any
just
cat.
a
It could
cat.
be a drawing of a cat, a picture of a cat. So perhaps
Yes,
we should submit a picture of our cat for the cat fest.
absolutely. This is how you register. You register by sending a picture of a cat and your email address, and you're registered for the Cat Fest. I love it. Cat Fest registration requires a cat picture. Any cat. Okay. So you don't have to be a cat person. Love it, love it, love it.
I have a picture of myself as a cat for Halloween.
That will count. It will.
No
Okay.
dogs for diversity?
We are
Okay.
we are catalogers.
But we will accept pictures of other pets.
I think if you're submitting other pets, you need to do, two. There's
Right.
an extra surcharge for,
Right.
non-cats.
But the
Oh,
non-cat,
wait. So a
the
cat is
non-cat
worth two
surcharge.
dogs?
Of
At
course.
least.
Right. Maggie's correct. No snakes, no reptiles.
Yeah.
So, but the non-cat surcharge is a requirement of 2 pictures. Okay, I think we have made our rules. We're essentially all planned now. I'm with Maggie though. No snakes. You get kicked out of Cat Fest if you send a snake picture. It's hard to get kicked out of a cataloging meeting, but that would do it. Or I would just, one or the other of us has to go. Alrighty. It's been fun, but it is getting darker by the moment here, so I'm going to cut out just a few minutes early. I'm glad my power held on this long. So good to see all of you.
Jennifer, I thought when you said it's getting darker, I thought you meant like the conversation.
Oh.
And then I realized you meant the weather.
Okay.
Well, maybe my mood is getting darker too as it comes along. So it's just better for all of us, for the weather and for me.
Okay.
Oh, thanks to all of you for all you do and for being here. And I'll see you next month and see you online. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.